People hear the word hacker, and they picture a shadowy figure. They imagine someone in a dark room surrounded by glowing screens. This person is typing furiously, breaking into secret government files. That image is mostly from movies. The reality is much more complex. A hacker is simply someone who is intensely curious about how things work. They love to explore the inner workings of computer systems. They enjoy pushing technology to its limits, often finding ways to make it do things its creators never intended. This curiosity is the driving force behind every hacker, whether their intentions are good or bad. It's not about malice, it's about the challenge. The term itself has evolved over time. Originally, at places like MIT, a hack was a clever or elegant solution to a programming problem. A hacker was someone who created these clever solutions. They were seen as pioneers, the architects of the digital world we live in today. They were driven by an intellectual passion to understand and master technology. The media later twisted this term, associating it exclusively with criminal activity. But at its core, hacking is about problem solving. It is a mindset, a way of looking at a system not for what it is, but for what it could be forced to become. My own journey started with this same sense of curiosity. It began with phone systems, what we called phreaking. I wasn't trying to cause damage. I was fascinated by the intricate network that connected the world. I wanted to understand its rules, its language, and its hidden pathways. This desire to explore is a common thread among many who are drawn to hacking. We see a locked door, and our first instinct isn't to walk away. Our instinct is to figure out how the lock works. We want to find the key, pick the lock, or maybe discover that the wall next to the door is weaker than the door itself. So what is a hacker? A hacker is an explorer, an innovator, and sometimes a rule breaker. They are individuals who possess a deep and often intuitive understanding of systems. This could be a computer network, a telephone switch, or even the security procedures of a large corporation. They see the world as a series of puzzles waiting to be solved. The skills they develop can be used for many purposes. They can be used to build and protect, or they can be used to bypass and exploit. The technology itself is neutral. It is the intent of the person using it that defines the outcome. When a hacker sits down at a computer, they are not just typing random commands. They are engaging in a process of discovery and manipulation. Their primary activity is information gathering. Before any attempt to access a system is made, a hacker will spend a significant amount of time learning everything they can about their target. This is called reconnaissance. They look for information like what operating systems are being used, what software is running, and who the key personnel are. This phase is like a burglar casing a house before a break-in. They check for open windows, weak locks, and predictable routines. Once they have a map of the target's digital landscape, the hacker begins to scan for vulnerabilities. A vulnerability is a weakness in a system's design, implementation, or security procedures. It could be a bug in a piece of software that hasn't been updated, a poorly configured firewall, or a password that is easy to guess. Hackers use specialized tools to automatically probe systems for these known weaknesses. It's a methodical process of testing every digital door and window to see if any are unlocked. This isn't always a fast process. It requires patience and a deep understanding of how different technologies interact with each other. After a vulnerability is found, the next step is to gain access. This is the part that movies love to dramatize. In reality, it often involves using a pre-written piece of code called an exploit. This code is designed to take advantage of a specific vulnerability to grant the hacker unauthorized entry into the system. Once inside, the hacker might have limited privileges. Their next goal is often privilege escalation, which means finding a way to gain more control over the system. They might try to become the system administrator, which would give them complete control over the entire network and all its data. Finally, once a hacker has achieved their desired level of access, their actions depend on their motives. A malicious hacker might steal data, install ransomware, or cause damage to the system. An ethical hacker, on the other hand, would document the vulnerability and report it to the system's owner so it can be fixed. In either case, skilled hackers will often try to cover their tracks. They will delete log files and alter records to remove any evidence of their presence. This makes it much harder for security professionals to figure out how the breach occurred and who was responsible. The goal is to become a ghost in the machine. A hacker's toolkit is as varied as a carpenter's. It contains a wide range of software designed for specific tasks in the hacking process. One of the most fundamental tools is a network scanner, like Nmap. This tool allows a hacker to map out a network and identify which devices are connected to it. It can tell them what services are running on each device, what ports are open, and what operating system is being used. This information is the foundation upon which an entire attack is built. Without a good map, an intruder is just wandering in the dark, hoping to stumble upon something useful by pure chance. Another essential category of tools is vulnerability scanners. Software like Nessus or OpenVAS automates the process of checking a system for known weaknesses. These tools have vast databases of thousands of vulnerabilities. They methodically test a target against this database and produce a detailed report of any potential entry points. This saves the hacker an immense amount of time and effort. Instead of manually testing for every possible flaw, they can run a scan and get a prioritized list of the most promising targets. It turns a needle in a haystack search into a clear, actionable checklist for the next phase of the attack. When it comes to actually gaining access, hackers use exploitation frameworks. The most famous of these is the Metasploit framework. This powerful tool is a collection of exploits, which are the codes that take advantage of specific vulnerabilities. Metasploit allows a hacker to select a target and a specific vulnerability, and then launch the exploit to gain a foothold in the system. It also includes payloads, which are the pieces of code that run after the exploit is successful. This payload could be a shell, which gives the hacker command line control over the compromised machine, allowing them to execute commands as if they were sitting right in front of it. Beyond these core tools, hackers use a variety of other software to aid their work. Password cracking tools like John the Ripper or Hashcat are used to break encrypted passwords that have been stolen from a system. Packet sniffers like Wireshark are used to intercept and analyze data as it travels across a network, potentially revealing sensitive information like usernames and passwords in plain text. And of course, many hackers are skilled programmers themselves, capable of writing their own custom tools and exploits when existing ones are not sufficient for the job at hand. The tools are just enablers. The real weapon is the hacker's knowledge. The history of hacking is filled with colorful characters who push the boundaries of technology. One of the earliest and most famous groups was the Phone Phreaks. John Draper, also known as Captain Crunch, is a legendary figure from this era. In the early 1970s, he discovered that a toy whistle found in boxes of Captain Crunch cereal produced a tone at a precise frequency of 2,600 Hz. This was the same frequency used by AT&T's long-distance switching systems to indicate that a trunk line was available. By blowing the whistle into a phone, he could trick the system and make free long-distance calls all over the world. He wasn't a criminal mastermind, he was just endlessly curious. Then there's me, Kevin Mitnick. In the 1980s and 90s, I became known for my exploits in social engineering and computer intrusion. I was fascinated with the challenge of getting information. I managed to gain access to the networks of major telecommunications and computer companies, including Pacific Bell, Nokia, and Motorola. My goal was never to profit or cause damage. It was about the thrill of the chase and the satisfaction of bypassing what was supposed to be secure systems. I was eventually caught and spent several years in prison, but my story highlighted how the biggest security vulnerability is often the human element, not the technology itself. Another well-known name is Gary McKinnon, a Scottish hacker who went by the name Solo. Between 2001 and 2002, he broke into dozens of United States military and NASA computer systems. He claimed he was searching for evidence of UFOs and suppressed free energy technology that he believed the government was hiding from the public. The United States government, however, accused him of causing hundreds of thousands of dollars in damage and committing the biggest military computer hack of all time. His case led to a decade-long legal battle as the United States tried to extradite him to face charges, shining a spotlight on the complexities of international cybercrime laws. These examples show that hackers are not all the same. Their motivations range from simple curiosity and intellectual challenge to political activism and the search for hidden truths. People like Draper were pioneers exploring a new frontier. My own story is a cautionary tale about how obsession can lead you down a dangerous path. McKinnon's case shows how hacking can become intertwined with personal beliefs and political conflict. These figures, and many others like them, have shaped the public's perception of hacking and have forced companies and governments to take digital security much more seriously than they ever did before. In the world of hacking, not everyone wears a black hat. The community is, broadly divided into different groups based on their ethics and motivations. The most well-known distinction is between white hat and black hat hackers. A black hat hacker is the stereotypical villain. They are individuals who break into computer systems with malicious intent. Their goals are often criminal in nature, stealing personal data like credit card numbers, committing financial fraud, holding data for ransom, or causing disruption and damage for their own amusement or personal gain. They operate outside the law and without permission. On the opposite side of the spectrum are the white hat hackers. These are also known as ethical hackers or security researchers. They possess the same skills and use many of the same tools as black hats. However, they use their abilities for good. A white hat hacker is hired by a company to test its security systems. They have permission to try and break in, and their goal is to find vulnerabilities before a malicious actor does. When they find a weakness, they don't exploit it for personal gain. Instead, they write a detailed report explaining the problem and provide recommendations on how to fix it, helping the organization strengthen its defenses. In between these two extremes lies a third group, grey hat hackers. A grey hat's motivations are more ambiguous. They might hack into a system without permission, which is illegal, but instead of causing harm, they might inform the system's administrator about the vulnerability they found. Sometimes they do this with the hope of being rewarded or hired, while other times they might publicly disclose the flaw, forcing the company to fix it. While their intentions might not be purely malicious, their methods are still legally questionable and can create unpredictable risks for the organizations they target without authorization. This distinction is crucial because it highlights that the act of hacking itself is not inherently good or bad. The skill set is neutral. It is the intent behind the action that matters. A locksmith can be hired to help you get into your house when you've lost your keys, or they can use their skills to break into someone else's house to steal their belongings. The same is true for hackers. The knowledge of how to bypass security can be used to build stronger locks, or it can be used to break them. This is why, many former black hats, including myself, have gone on to have successful careers as security consultants. When hacking is used for malicious purposes, the consequences can be devastating for both individuals and entire organizations. One of the most common forms of attack is data theft. Black hat hackers target databases containing sensitive personal information. This can include names, addresses, social security numbers, and financial details like credit card and bank account numbers. Once this information is stolen, it is often sold on the dark web to other criminals. These criminals then use the data to commit identity theft, open new lines of credit in the victim's name, or drain their bank accounts, causing immense financial and emotional distress. Another increasingly prevalent and dangerous form of attack is ransomware. In a ransomware attack, a hacker gains access to a computer or an entire network and encrypts all the files, making them completely inaccessible to the owner. The hacker then demands a ransom payment, usually in an untraceable cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, in exchange for the decryption key. This can cripple businesses, hospitals, and even city governments. They are faced with a terrible choice: pay the criminals and hope they honor their word, or lose their critical data forever and try to rebuild from scratch, a process that can be incredibly costly and time-consuming. Malicious hacking isn't always about financial gain. Sometimes the goal is pure disruption or destruction. Hackers might launch a distributed denial of service or DDoS attack, where they flood a website or online service with so much traffic that it becomes overwhelmed and crashes. This can knock essential services offline for hours or even days. In more extreme cases, hackers can gain control of critical infrastructure systems, like power grids or water treatment facilities. A successful attack on these systems could lead to widespread power outages or contaminate public water supplies, posing a direct threat to public safety and national security. The damage from these attacks extends beyond the immediate financial or operational impact. A successful hack can severely damage a company's reputation. Customers lose trust in a business that cannot protect their data, leading to a loss of business and long-term harm to the brand. For individuals, being a victim of a hack can be a deeply violating experience. It's a digital home invasion that can leave people feeling vulnerable and insecure. The dark side of hacking serves as a constant and powerful reminder of why strong cybersecurity practices are not just an option, but an absolute necessity in our connected world. Protecting yourself from hackers doesn't require you to be a technology expert. It starts with building good habits, and the cornerstone of personal security is strong password management. A strong password is long, complex, and unique for every single account you have. It should be a mix of uppercase and lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. Avoid using common words, personal information like birthdays or simple patterns, because remembering dozens of unique, complex passwords is impossible for most people. Using a reputable password manager is the best solution. It securely stores all of your passwords and can generate strong ones for you, so you only need to remember one master password. The next critical step is to enable two-factor authentication, or 2FA, or multi-factor authentication, wherever it is offered. This adds a second layer of security beyond just your password. Even if a hacker manages to steal your password, they still won't be able to access your account without the second factor. This second factor is typically something you have, like a code generated by an app on your phone, a text message sent to you, or a physical security key. Turning on 2FA is one of the single most effective things you can do to protect your important accounts, like email, banking, and social media. Keeping your software and devices updated is another simple yet powerful defense. Software updates don't just add new features, they very often contain critical security patches that fix vulnerabilities discovered by security researchers. Hackers actively scan for devices running outdated software because they know these vulnerabilities provide an easy way in. By enabling automatic updates on your operating system, web browser, and other applications, you are closing the doors that hackers are trying to open. Ignoring update notifications is like leaving your front door unlocked and hoping no one will notice it. Finally, be cautious about the networks you connect to and the information you share. Public Wi-Fi networks, like those in coffee shops or airports, are often unsecured. This means a hacker on the same network could potentially intercept the data you are sending and receiving. If you must use public Wi-Fi, avoid logging into sensitive accounts and consider using a virtual private network, or VPN. A VPN encrypts your internet traffic, creating a secure tunnel that makes it much harder for anyone to spy on your activity. Being mindful of these simple practices can dramatically reduce your risk of becoming a victim. Technology can be patched and updated, but the most persistent vulnerability in any security system is the human being. This is where social engineering comes into play. Social engineering is the art of human hacking. It's the practice of manipulating people into divulging confidential information or performing actions that compromise security. It doesn't involve complex code or sophisticated software exploits. Instead, it preys on basic human psychology: our trust, our fear, our desire to be helpful, and our curiosity. A social engineer's goal is to trick you into willingly giving them the keys to the kingdom. One of the most common social engineering techniques is phishing. This usually comes in the form of an email, text message, or social media message that appears to be from a legitimate source, like your bank, a delivery service, or a tech support company. The message will often create a sense of urgency or fear, telling you that your account has been compromised, or that you need to verify your information immediately. It will contain a link that directs you to a fake website that looks identical to the real one. When you enter your username and password on this fake site, you are handing your credentials directly to the hacker. Another powerful social engineering tactic is pretexting. This is where the attacker creates a believable scenario or pretext to build trust and obtain information. For example, an attacker might call an employee and pretend to be from the company's IT department. They might say they are performing a system update and need the employee's password to complete the process. Because the request seems to come from a position of authority and sounds plausible, the employee might comply without thinking twice. This technique was one of my favorites because it was so effective. People are conditioned to be helpful, especially to those they perceive as being in charge. To protect yourself from social engineering, you must cultivate a healthy sense of skepticism. Always be wary of unsolicited requests for personal information, no matter how legitimate they seem. Verify the identity of the person asking. If you get an email from your bank, don't click the link in the email. Instead, open your web browser and type the bank's website address in manually. If you get a call from someone claiming to be from IT, hang up and call the official IT help desk number to confirm the request. Remember, legitimate organizations will almost never ask for your password or other sensitive data via email or phone. The strongest defense is to pause, think, and verify. In our modern world, technology is woven into every aspect of our lives. We bank, shop, work, and socialize online. This digital transformation has brought incredible convenience and opportunity, but it has also created new risks. Understanding the world of hackers is no longer an interest reserved for tech enthusiasts or security professionals. It is essential knowledge for everyone. Learning how hackers think and operate is the first step toward protecting yourself, your family, and your business in this interconnected landscape. It is about moving from being a passive user of technology to an informed and proactive digital citizen. By learning about the tools and techniques hackers use, from network scanners to social engineering, you become better equipped to recognize the signs of an attack. You begin to see the digital world through a different lens. You understand why a strange email with a sense of urgency is a red flag. You know why using the same simple password for multiple websites is a dangerous gamble. This knowledge demystifies the threat. It transforms the hacker from a mythical, all-powerful boogeyman into a predictable adversary whose methods can be understood and, more importantly, defended against with the right precautions. Furthermore, understanding the hacker mindset is not just about defense, it's also about innovation. The same curiosity that drives a hacker to find flaws in a system can be harnessed for positive change. Ethical hackers and security researchers play a vital role in making technology safer for all of us. They are the ones who find the bugs before the criminals do. By encouraging and supporting ethical hacking, we foster a culture of continuous improvement, pushing developers to build more secure products from the ground up. This proactive approach is far more effective than simply reacting to breaches after they have already occurred. Ultimately, the line between a locked door and an open one is knowledge. Hackers understand the systems they target, often better than the people who use them every day. To stay safe, we need to close that knowledge gap. We don't all need to become expert coders or security analysts, but we do need a foundational understanding of the risks we face and the simple steps we can take to mitigate them. In the ongoing cat-and-mouse game of cybersecurity, knowledge is your best armor. By taking the time to look inside the mind of a hacker, you empower yourself to navigate the digital world with confidence and security.